مساكم الله بالخير، حياكم جميعا. حياكم بمؤتمرنا. حياك الدكتورة رنا معانا. حياك الله الدكتورة رنا. الصوت معلش الصوت مو واضح. اوكي بس الكاميرا معالي، صوت عند الوزيرة يا ريت يكون اوضح.
مساكم الله بالخير.
مساك الله بالنور.
ما تسمعوني؟
حياك الله. اي نسمعك.
الله يحييك.
حياك الله دكتورة رنا.
الله يحييك ويحفظك.
مساك الله بالخير دكتورة، شلونك؟
الله نورتونا دكتورة، نورتينا بمؤتمرنا، مؤتمر المدن الذكية الجمعية الكويتية لتقنية المعلومات. أحب أبدي بكلمة ترحيب لحضرتك. يطيب لنا أني أرحب بكم وأجمل الترحيب في مؤتمرنا اللي يقام في تاريخ 14 و15 تحت عنوان مؤتمر المدن الذكية، اللي تنظمت الجمعية الكويتية لتقنية المعلومات بالتعاون مع مؤسسة الكويت للتقدم العلمي. اسمحوا لي أني أرحب باسمكم جميعاً بمعالي الدكتورة رنا عبدالله الفارس، وزيرة الدولة لشؤون الاتصالات والتكنولوجيا المعلومات، ووزيرة الدولة لشؤون البلدية، والتي حرصت على رعاية وحضور هذا المؤتمر والعمل على نجاحه وإخراج التوصيات اللي تتناسب مع نقول طموحاتنا. إخواني وأخواتي الكرام، المؤتمر هذا بصدد اليوم أنه يناقش عدة محاور، منها المدن الذكية للجميع، مناقشة الفروقات بين المدن الذكية والمدن الرقمية، ودور الذكاء الاصطناعي في مدن المستقبل، وإنترنت الأشياء بالإضافة إلى الجيل الخامس. طبعاً كل هذا له انعكاسات اقتصادية على الوظائف والتعليم والحياة ككل. فهذه هي نقول مثل ما تقول احنا محاورنا اللي نسعى لتحقيقها اليومين. والجدير بالذكر ان الحضور معنا كوكبة من المشاركين من الكويت وخارج الكويت، ونشكرهم جميعاً على حرصهم انهم يكونون معنا اليوم وباكر باذن الله، سعياً منا للاستفادة من الخبرات التي سبقتنا من الدول الخارجية ومن الكفاءات الكويتية اللي مشاركين معنا اليوم. بالختام يسعدني أني أقدم خالص الشكر والامتنان لمشاركة الجميع وللحضور. فتفضلي دكتورة رنا إذا تحبين تقولي لنا كلمة.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين.
Excuse me, before you continue, I'm sorry to interrupt. We are not getting English on the English channel.
Okay. It will a little bit time now.
Hello.
It's okay.
You hear me, madam?
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Absolutely.
Okay. كملي دكتورة.
Good be your time, gentle people. You're certainly welcome to the meeting. I'm very happy to take part in this conference about smart cities, which is set up by the Kuwaiti Information and Technology Society and the Ministry of Communications and Information Technology is keen on introducing very cutting-edge practices that will broaden the horizons that have to do with the field we're tackling today. And we know that plenty of places around the world today are collaborating toward this effort. We want to tackle the concepts that are there behind smart cities, the ICT available at their side, what good public governance and facilities to introduce in smart cities and what advanced stories have we got for them. This will absolutely contribute to the welfare of the people. And that will have to do as well with mobile phones and the other Internet of Things. I think what we've done so far at our side, we collaborated toward some steps into understanding what does a smart city stand for, and we pushed toward a project for a fixed network to be available at our site in Kuwait, that we could have very good speeds for 1 gigabyte through the optics for every single residence. And that will collaborate in pushing ahead digital economy and opening horizons for the youth. Ladies and gentlemen, our globe today catches up with plenty of things that we in Kuwait need to catch up with as well. And we need to find out about what's going on when it comes to digital revolutions and the G5 cutting edge stories. And other media services available, which will open up opportunities of good modern services that would ensure some transformation into a know-how economy. And one final word, I wish your meeting would end up with some very good propositions that we could take by at our place in here at the Ministry of Information and Technologies, Communication Technologies, that we could possibly build on them and implement some projects about. So we could meet these challenges, and that we cannot stop by. We need to catch up with what's going on around us. Thank you so much. Have a very good time.
شكرا دكتورة رنا على الكلمة، وفعلا نسعى لتوصيات ان
Thank you, Madam Minister. We'd love to have some recommendations around, especially when we count up locally on the human capital available at our side, the infrastructure that we need, and all other things. Good to have you with us again, Madam Minister. We're starting right ahead with
Michael Chi from the US. I would like to start with Michael. Michael Chi is the Executive Director, Transformative Cyber Innovator Lab, a project of the Foundation of Defense of Democracy. He is one of the paid technology transitions to improve the state of cyber security at the whole of an institution and the whole of society. Thank you, Michael Chi, for your time. And we will start translating to Arabic, inshallah.
Very good. Thank you so much for that.
I hope, I'm sorry, but it was quick change. So welcome to us. We are happy to have you with our Smart City conference. So you will start. Go ahead. You want to share your screen?
Yes, thank you for that. I will add my screen right now. Please just give me one moment to get the screen uploaded, and we shall begin momentarily. Okay, so if I may ask if the screen is showing at the maximum resolution, everything is correct?
Correct.
Very good, very good. Okay, so in that case, let us begin. So first of all, thank you.
أهلا بكم. أنا أدرك تماما. الصوت الحقيقة جاي بيقطع تمام. مادام منى الصوت. Hello. Hello.
In the tech community who want to see greener, smarter, and more productive cities of the future. Okay, and excuse me. To get from today's cities to tomorrow's super cities will not be a straight line. We must be very candid with ourselves about the tremendous challenges we must overcome, not only to achieve environmental and economic goals, but also human goals, because we humans will be living in these cities. And these human goals include having technology that is safe enough to not put human life and limb unduly at risk, and technology that is secure enough, such that our privacy and personal data are not placed unduly at risk as well. And the first part of this presentation will address the issues of safe use of AI in a world where there are bad actors who try to inveigle and fool AIs into doing unintended and sometimes dangerous things. We call this adversarial AI. And the second part of this presentation will deal with the enormous risks to our privacy as individuals when the sort of instrumentation in smart cities that will be collecting as much information about us, geolocation, financial transactions, purchases, automobile usage, etc., becomes a reality. We talk about the privacy risks that we must manage so that the data palaces we will live in the future do not become dangerous panopticons in which none of us have privacy. And finally, I want to talk about something that may not seem related to the issue of smart cities, but is. In fact, this is an issue that sits underneath all of cybersecurity, which is the question of how do we manage the risks of purchasing hardware and software to build our smart cities in such a way that we minimize the risk of bad actors injecting malice into that said equipment. We close on the topic of supply chain risk, because as we shall see, it is the problem that sits at the foundation for all other cybersecurity problems. Let's begin with adversarial AI. A very typical problem in AI is what is called image classification. That is the problem of, I will show the machine an image, and I ask the machine to classify. Is this an image of a hot dog? Is it a balloon? Is it a stop sign? And for those of us who have ever been in a modern electric vehicle with self-driving capability, you probably already know that the field of image classification is mature enough such that about 1,400 people in the US get on the roads every single day and let their cars drive them around, trusting their lives to the ability of their cars to correctly identify stop signs and every other signal in traffic, and the behavior of other cars too. Now, those of you who have spent any time in the US probably recall that sometimes teenagers like to play pranks and put stickers and graffiti and the like on stop signs and other road signs. Usually this is a very benign thing because I, as a human, can still tell that a stop sign is a stop sign, even if it has a sticker plastered on it. But this is where we run into quite unexpected issues when machines are trying to read these signs. Observe here. If we place a few benign-looking blocks of color over the sign, what happens to the machine trying to read the sign? With industry-leading AI, we suddenly have a machine that reads this obvious stop sign as a green light. Okay, that is obviously a problem. Obviously a risk to human life that needs no further comment. But then you might say, okay, we just make sure we don't have stickers on these stop signs. Problem solved? Unfortunately, not quite. And this is where the research in adversarial AI gets quite interesting and quite deep. Let's take another example of how a stop sign might be goofed by another kind of adversarial attacker. Instead of plastering a sticker, I might conduct a cyber attack on the cameras or the processor on the car, whereby I add a subtle noise to the image that does not obviously change the appearance of the sign to human eyes. And suddenly, I have fooled the industry-leading image classifier into thinking that the stop sign is a yield sign. And while we are talking about passenger cars and stop signs here, it's quite obvious that as we start thinking about the autonomous machinery that will be running the smart cities of the future, especially the ones with a logistics focus, aerial drones, gantry cranes, automated trucks and boats, we can see that the challenge to our smart city aspirations posed by such issues in adversarial AI. All this may be a bit alarming and bleak, but as we go through this presentation, and as we work on cyber in general, we should remember we need to have a little bit of fun once in a while. So before we leave this topic, I would like to poll the audience just for fun. We have here yet another adversarial attack on a stop sign, where we are trying to fool the machine into thinking that this stop sign is in fact something else other than a stop sign. We have goofed the sign, and now the machine has gone from being 99% certain that it is looking at a stop sign to being 80% certain that it is looking at some other object. And just for fun, can we ask the audience for a few guesses as to what the machine thinks the object?
استبواني متعلق بالذكاء الاصطناعي ذو التأثير السلبي adversarial AI. أدخل الحين الشات أشوف مني.
So if one of our hosts can kindly relay some of the guesses from the participants, that would be appreciated. Oh, there we go. Actually, I can't see the chat here. Okay, pumpkin, fruits, watermelon. Okay, very good guesses, and maybe just a few more. Apples, okay. So I see a lot of fruit and vegetable themed guesses, and they're all excellent guesses. That was in fact my first guess myself. Flower, also good guess. Okay, so I will break the suspense right now and tell you what the machine thinks that it is. It thinks it's a sports ball of all things. Well, that maybe requires no further comment, but that is obviously not a sports ball right there. Very good. Okay. And now we move on to our next topic of privacy risk. And before we begin, I would like to poll the audience again, and just feel free to respond in the chat. Does everyone think that privacy is a good thing? And maybe the way we will answer that is there anybody who does not value their privacy? If you do not value your privacy, please respond in the chat. I do not value my privacy. We'll give it a few moments here. Okay, nobody is saying they do not value their privacy. And of course, the answer is no. Privacy is one of these things that is a universal human need. So we all agree privacy is important. I am not here to dispute that. What I do introduce here, though, is the research on how difficult it is to protect one's privacy. And one of the best studies on this was done by a landmark project some 7 years ago at MIT here in the US that we call the credit card study. Now, the credit card study was very simple. They obtained the credit card transactions of some 1.1 million customers, purchase amount, merchant location, and so forth over a period of 3 months. And this resulted in a huge corpus of transactions, some hundreds of millions of transactions. Now, let's play another game. The average customer has hundreds to thousands of transactions over these 3 months. Each person has so many. If I randomly pick out 4 of any customer's transactions, what are the odds, you imagine, that I can use that 4 transactions to guess all of your other transaction in this body of hundreds of millions of transactions. What are the odds that I can make that guess successfully, knowing just 4 things you've bought and where you bought them? All right, let's leave that to the audience. We'll open the floor for a moment and we'll take some guesses in the chat. Does indicate lifestyle, that is true. And we're looking for a percentage here, just to be clear. So if I have those 4 transactions, you know, do I have a 10% chance, a 20% chance, a 50% chance, a 100% chance, 20%? Okay, that's a good guess. 20, okay. Let's keep going here. Like, this is a good one. 60%, okay. We have a high guess now. 20%, okay. 6%, oh, 5%, okay. 5%. 1, 25. Okay, let's have a few more here. These are all very good guesses. 4 to 1. Okay, that's an 80% chance then. 100% chance. Okay, 60%. Okay, you know what? Since we have a guess, in fact, 2 guesses that are very close, I will tell you the answer. The answer is in fact 90%. So the individuals who guessed 100% and 80%, you guys win the cigar right there. All right, 90% chance. Let's pause here for a moment. First of all, from my perspective, that was surprising. My first guess myself was something like 25%. I didn't think it would be that easy, but it's actually very easy to guess the rest of your behavior. If I just steal 4 of your receipts, 4 of your credit card receipts, I can guess everything else you've bought over the past 3 months. That's quite amazing. And this is deeply revelatory of just how hard it is to protect privacy. And the reason is, we as humans, we're not random. We are deeply patterned organisms that have very identifiable ruts and routines in our lives. It is the nature of who we are. And we see comparable risks of re-identification in other studies as well. When researchers look at our preferences on video streaming services like Netflix, or even accelerometer data in our cars, web browsing on our web browsers as well too. All of those things have a comparably high re-identification risk. In a smart city environment where every human will be inundated with hundreds to thousands of sensors taking measurements at all times, we must be vigilant to the fact that while these things may bring conveniences and benefits, that we are also potentially setting up a future in which no one has privacy. And let us not imagine that it can't happen to us. I am sure we all know who Elon Musk is. He's a successful businessman. I think he founded PayPal or something. Not sure what happened to him afterwards, but in any case, a freshman at the University of Central Florida decided to create a Twitter account that tracks Musk's private jet in real time. He was able to do this all with publicly available data that is not even going to have a fraction of the fidelity and the latency that the smart city sensors will have in tracking our movements and our lives in the future. So even being incredibly wealthy and influential, like Elon Musk, will not necessarily protect you. Finally, I would like to talk about something that sits underneath all of these issues, and that is the issue of supply chain security. Now, before we begin, we define what supply chain security is. Everything we buy in technology, be it hardware or software, comes to us after a sequence of value-adding steps, various steps of manufacturing, components integration, finishing, quality control, shipping, and delivery. And every one of these steps comprise what we call the supply chain. And a supply chain attack is defined as a bad actor at any one of those stages injecting malice into the product that arrives eventually at my door. Now, this could mean programming in malware into a component and slipping that component into the manufacturing process of an integrator, or swapping a compromised computer for a good computer in the shipping depot, or even changing the design of a fundamental component at the point of manufacture. And as supply chains for all kinds of technologies grow and become more complex, the playground for bad actors seeking to do harm becomes ever greater. Now, I want to quote a public comment made by one of my colleagues in the US government here, that cybersecurity really is a supply chain problem. And while that seems like a rather extreme statement, it is no exaggeration. To underscore this, let's poll the audience one more time. What percentage of cyber breaches are thought to come from supply chain compromise? Exactly those supply chain attacks that we talked about just a moment before. Let's go to the chat here, if we may. Let's take a few guesses. We'll have 3 guesses from the audience. %, 99%. Okay. Good. 100%. Okay. Very good guesses. Very, very, very good guesses. Right. So since we're running close to the end of time, I will say that the individual who guessed 60%, you were very close, and you win the cigar. 66% are thought to come from supply chain compromise. It's quite large. And some 2 of 3 problems are estimated to come from the compromise that results in this long sequence of value-adding activities. So let's return to smart cities for a second, and the question of building the super logistics hubs of the future. Whether it is here in Kuwait or in Rotterdam or Singapore or Piraeus, we all consume electronics that come from the same pool of global suppliers. We're all subject to the same dangerous supply chain risks as well. So what can we do about this? This is where I like to talk about my own experience in the US Defense Department. In the US, not only do you have a very active and thriving privacy and civil liberties culture, but you have formal processes within government, the legislature, and the executive agencies to safeguard privacy and civil liberties. And let me share with you some facts that are not commonly known, that these processes safeguard not only US citizens, but any individual on American soil, and even non-US persons outside of American jurisdiction. The civil liberties and the privacy rights of US citizens is the foundation by which we reckon how we protect the civil liberties and privacy rights of all persons. And there are explicit limits of what the US intelligence community can do in their own national security mission. They cannot, for instance, gather intelligence to create economic advantage for American firms. Now, why do I say this? I say this because if you care about cybersecurity, trusting your vendor matters. And trusting your vendor means trusting the entire political and legal milieu from which your vendor operates. And when you buy American products, you can be assured that grandfathered into that product is the set of assurances that comes from our transparent system of processes and legal oversight from democratically elected representatives, many of whom are quite publicly outspoken about the need to safeguard civil liberties and privacy in all the functions of the government and for all of our stakeholders as well. So in closing, let me congratulate you on your pioneering step in defining the smart city agenda for the region and the globe. Many of us in the global technology community are quite excited to see this great aspiration of the 21st century unfold. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Wait.
Okay, I will stop my share right now. So I will return the screen.
Thanks a lot, Michael, for your great lecture today. I think a lot of people are communicating with you. It was a good experience, and thank you for participating with us in the Smart City Conference.
لها علاقة بالمدن الذكية. شكرا لمشاركتك، مشاركتنا خبرتك. شكرا لك.
And now we will continue. continue with our conference. ونبدأ مع الدكتور مجدي. أستاذ دكتور.
We start with Dr. Bashad Majdi. Bashad. Salam.
To attend that important event that cover advanced research, artificial intelligence application. It is my great pleasure to be part of that gathering and looking forward to exchange knowledge and experience. Let me introduce myself. I am Magdi Zakaria.
أعرفك دكتور مجدي، أحب أعرفك.
طيب. Professor of Computer and the Dean of Faculty of Computer Science and Information Technology at Mansoura University.
حياك الله معانا أستاذ دكتور مجدي زكريا رشاد محمد. طبعا الدكتور هو أستاذ علوم الكمبيوتر في جامعة المنصورة، يحمل البروفيسور على الدكتوراه في علم الكمبيوتر من كلية الهندسة في جامعة القاهرة. له مؤلفات لأكثر من 160 بحث منشور على مستوى العالم. طبعا بالإضافة أنه هو يهتم جدا في مجالات الذكاء الاصطناعي والتعرف على الأنماط والتعلم الآلي ومعالجة الصور والحوسبة السحابية وإنترنت الأشياء. يعطيك العافية دكتور مجدي.
شكرا أستاذة منى، وبنشكر طبعا معالي الوزيرة الأستاذة الدكتورة رنا على رعاية هذا المؤتمر. يعني
دكتور تحب تتكلم باللغة الإنجليزية ولا العربية؟ عشان
واحنا عارضينه باللغة العربية وانتوا قلتوا
اوكي تمام. اساس نضبط مع المترجم.
تمام يا فندم. بالنسبة للأجندة بتاعتنا تمام يا فندم، عشان احنا ملتزمين
15 دقيقة. ها
بالنسبة للأجندة بتاعتنا، احنا أول حاجة نتعرف على إيه هي المدن الذكية. المدن الذكية المستدامة طبعا، والمجتمعات الريفية إزاي بتبقى ذكية ومستدامة، والتكنولوجيات الناشئة، وتطبيقات الذكاء الاصطناعي في المدن الذكية، والاختلاف بين المدن الذكية والتقليدية، واستخدامات أو التطبيقات بتاعت الذكاء الاصطناعي في المدن الذكية. طبعا المدن الذكية بتعتبر هي مدن الجيل الرابع، ودي هدفا رئيسا لتحقيق ما يعرف بالتنمية الحضرية التي تعتمد على تنمية الواقع الافتراضي وتطوير الفرضيات التي تفي بضروريات الحاضر. في معلومة بيقول إن بيعيش أكثر من نصف سكان العالم اليوم في المدن، وبحلول عام 2050 سيعيش حوالي 7 من كل 10 أشخاص في المدن. وطبعا بتمثل المدن أكثر من 70% من انبعاثات الكربون في العالم، ومن 60 ل 80% من استهلاك الطاقة. وقد أدى التحضر السريع إلى تحديات إضافية مثل الفوارق الاجتماعية وازدحام المرور وتلوث البيئة. يمكن للحكومات أن تستخدم هذه التكنولوجيات المعلومات والاتصالات بالاقتران مع الطاقة المتجددة وغيرها من التكنولوجيات لبناء مدن أكثر ذكاء وأكثر استدامة لمواطنين. طبعا المدينة الذكية المستدامة هي مدينة مبتكرة تستخدم تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات لتحسين نوعية الحياة وجعل العمليات والخدمات الحضرية أكثر كفاءة وتعزيز قدرتها التنافسية مع ضمان تلبيتها لاحتياجات الأجيال الحالية والقائمة. المجتمعات الريفية ذكية ومستدامة، على الرغم طبعا أن المدن التي يتم توصيل جميع النظم والخدمات الحضرية فيها غير موجودة حتى الآن، فإن العديد من المدن في طريقها إلى أن تصبح مدن مستدامة وذكية بتعتمد على تكنولوجيا المعلومات والاتصالات. على سبيل المثال تعزيز كفاءة استهلاك الطاقة وإدارة المخلفات وتحسين الإسكان والرعاية الصحية وغيره. بتعتمد المدن الذكية المستدامة على البنية التحتية للاتصالات المستقرة والآمنة والموثقة وقابلة للتشغيل البيني لدعم حجم هائل من التطبيقات. وطبعا بيستخدم تطبيقات الذكاء الاصطناعي بتحليل مجموعة كبيرة للغاية من البيانات بشكل حسابي للكشف عن الأنماط التي تستخدم لإثراء عملية صنع القرار في هذه البلدان. طبعا إنترنت الأشياء، الإنترنت أوف ثينجز، هي إشارة إلى شبكة من أجهزة الحواسب المتنامية بسرعة للتواصل مع بعضها البعض وتبادل البيانات، وتضمن أجهزة الاستشعار والبرمجيات لتمكن المليارات من الأجهزة والأجسام المجهزة بأجهزة الاستشعار الذكية من التواصل مع بعضها البعض. طيب، إيه الشبكات الذكية والتوأم الرقمي والروبوتكس؟ الشبكات الذكية دي إشارة إلى شبكات الامتداد بالكهرباء التي تستخدم تكنولوجيا الاتصالات الرقمية للكشف عن التغيرات المحلية في الاستخدام والتفاعل معه. التوأم الرقمي ده الاستفادة من الواقع الافتراضي والمعزز لتسهيل تخطيط المدن الذكية والصيانة والتنبؤ للخدمات الحضرية والمراقبة في الوقت الفعلي واتخاذ القرارات. الروبوتكس دي التطوير على استخدام الروبوتكس والمركبات الجوية بدون طيار في المدن للمساعدة في دعم تقديم الخدمات في مجالات مثل النقل والرعاية الصحية والمراقبة. كيف يمكن الاستفادة من تقنيات الانترنت اوف ثينج لإنشاء المدن الذكية في عام 2022؟ لقد دفعتنا تقنيات الانترنت اوف ثينج نحو بناء مفهوم جديد وفريد للمدن الذكية. هذا المصطلح الذي ظهر حديثا ويقصد به الجيل الجديد من الانترنت الذي يتيح التفاهم بين الأجهزة المترابطة مع بعضها البعض، ويتخطى هذا التعريف المفهوم التقليدي، وهو تواصل الأشخاص مع الحواسب والهواتف الذكية عبر شبكة عالمية واحدة من خلال مجموعة من البروتوكولات. ايه بقى التطبيقات بتاعت الذكاء الاصطناعي في المدن الذكية؟ اول حاجة الاستخدام الحكيم للموارد. 2 اللي هو النقل الذكي، كفاءة الطاقة، المراقبة الذكية، ردود الافعال الفورية من المواطنين. افضل طرق لاستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي في المدن الذكية، طبعا بيفضل تقنية الذكاء الاصطناعي. أصبحت المدن الذكية قادرة على التحكم في حركة المرور والنفايات والصيانة، وكذلك التنبؤ باستهلاك الطاقة ومخاطر التلوث والتأثيرات في البيئة. من ضمن أفضل طرق لاستخدام الذكاء الاصطناعي في السمارت سيتيز البيئة، تتبع استهلاك الطاقة، تحسين حركة المرور، إدارة النفايات طبعا بشكل أفضل، تطوير المواصلات، توقع الاحتياجات المستقبلية، تطوير طرق الصيانة، المساعدة في تحقيق الأمن. هل يحل التنقل الذكي مشاكل السكان في المدن الذكية؟ طبعا بيعتبر التنقل الذكي أحد الحلول الرئيسية المنتظرة التي تعمل المدن الذكية على تنفيذها في السنوات الأخيرة، حيث تسعى إلى استخدام التكنولوجيا لمساعدة السكان في التنقل بسرعة وكفاءة آمنة. إيه الاختلاف ما بين المدن الذكية والتقليدية؟ في المدن الذكية بينشأ المواطنين المدينة إنه بيشاركوا أصلاً في تشكيل المدينة، ويعني على سبيل المثال مثلاً يمكن للمواطن العمل على إيجاد حلول للمشاكل بسرعة ومرونة. ده بالنسبة للمدن بالنسبة للمدن الذكية. سهولة النقل، يعني في المدينة التقليدية قد تضطر إلى الانتظار لفترة طويلة حتى تأتي الحافلة دون أن تكون لديك فكرة عن موعد ظهورها بالفعل. أما في المدينة الذكية ستتمكن من الرجوع إلى أحدث المعلومات حول أوقات وصول الحافلات، سواء كان ذلك باستخدام تطبيق الهاتف الذكي أو محطة حافلات بها شاشة تعرض أحدث المعلومات. مدينة صديقة للبيئة، يبقى هناك فرق آخر ما بين المدن الذكية والمدن المستدامة التي بتركز فقط على جعل المدن صديقة للبيئة، معنى بتساعد البيانات تتبع المدن في تصميم سياسات أكثر كفاءة في استخدام الطاقة وتحديد المجالات التي يمكن تحسينها. يعني على سبيل المثال مثلا في مدينة برشلونة في اسبانيا استخدامه للطاقة الشمسية ده وفر حوالي 37 مليون دولار سنويا. كيف ستعمل أجهزة إنترنت الأشياء بمثابة عيون وآذان المدن الذكية في المستقبل؟ طبعا ساعدت التطورات التكنولوجية في الأجهزة والشبكات والبرامج في تمكين التطبيقات والخدمات التي لم يكن من الممكن تصويرها قبل بضع سنوات، كما أدى ظهور شبكات اتصال الجيل الخامس إلى زيادة سعة وسرعات الشبكات، الأمر الذي سينتج عصراً جديداً من الاحتمالات، وتعتبر المدن الذكية أحد تلك الاحتمالات. كيف يساعد الذكاء الاصطناعي في إنشاء مدن ذكية أكثر أماناً؟ بتستفيد المدن الذكية إلى حد كبير من الدوائر التلفزيونية المغلقة الذكية للحفاظ على أمنها من خلال استخدام حلول قوية قائمة على الذكاء المطبق على الدوائر التلفزيونية المغلقة للكشف تلقائياً عن أنواع مختلفة من الأنشطة، وسيتم على الفور الكشف عن أي حالات نشاط إجرامي مثل الاعتداء أو التلويح بالسلاح أو إطلاق النار. يعني الكاميرات العادية ده بتصور الجريمة، إنما الكاميرات اللي هي الذكية هي بتصور السلوك بتاع الشخص ذات نفسه، فبالتالي بنستطيع إن إحنا نمنع حدوث هذه الجريمة قبل وقوعها. شكراً، شاكرين. Thank you very much. شكراً أستاذة منى.
شكراً أستاذ بروفيسور مجدي على مشاركتك. إذا في أي أحد عنده استفسار للدكتور مجدي، في عندنا سؤال دكتور مجدي. المدن الذكية ذات تكلفة عالية وتتطلب الأشخاص الحفاظ على التقنية أن يتعاملون معها باحترافي، يعني وهل في قوانين صارمة؟ يعني هذا السؤال المدن الذكية.
طبعا القوانين القوانين والتشريعات اوريدي ان هي موجوده، بس احنا يجب ان احنا نفند المشكله ونعرضها بشكلها الصحيح، انما هذه التشريعات والقوانين اوريدي ان هي موجوده. كمان في حاجه حضرتك، هي بالنسبه لو احنا اعتمدنا مثلا في توليد الطاقه على الخلايا الشمسيه، الخلايا الشمسيه طبعا بتمنع التلوث، فبالتالي اصلا احنا ضربنا مثال في مدينه برشلونه حضرتك ان استخدامهم للخلايا الشمسيه ده وفر حوالي 37 مليون دولار. فيعني استخدامنا للتقنيات الذكيه هي مش مكلفه قوي يعني.
يمكن الناس يشوفون انها مكلفه كبنيه تحتيه.
احنا بصراحه احنا عندنا يعني هو في حاجتين، يعني احنا يعنينا في تطبيقات الذكاء الاصطناعي حضرتك الداتا، والداتا اوريدي ان هي موجوده في كل البلدان اصلا. هو التقنيات بتاعت الذكاء الاصطناعي بتعتمد على الداتا من الدرجه الاولى. انا عندي داتا بيانات ومعلومات، الرقمنه ان تحويلها اللي هي البرمجه بقى، العمليات التي يتم اجراءها على هذه البيانات والمعلومات. عاوز برنامج يعمل ايه، توليد مثلا، او مجرد ان انا افتح الباب النور يبدا يضيء بالاستشعار. فكل هذه البرامج اريد ان احنا شغالين في هذه التطبيقات او تطبيقات الذكاء الاصطناعي من فتره كبيره جدا يعني. وعلى فكره الذكاء الاصطناعي مش وليد الفتره الحديثه دلوقتي، انما هو فكره قديمه جدا. وناخد مثلا فكره حتى من ايام سيدنا ادم في علم اسمه علم الهيرستيك، ودي احد فروع الذكاء الاصطناعي، عندما قتل قابيل هابيل. فدي كانت اول مشكله في التاريخ تحدث. فنظر كيف يواري سوءة اخيه، فبعث الله غرابا قاتل غرابا اخر وبدا يفحر في الارض. دي مشكله هيرستيك، ان الميثود او الالجوريزم مش موجود، فبدا يقلد الغراب وعمل نفس فدي مشكله هيرستيك، ودي علم من علوم الذكاء الصناعي. فيعني الذكاء الاصطناعي مش وليد اليوم معاليك يعني.
يعطيكم العافية، وما قصرت دكتورنا على مشاركتك القيمة، وإن شاء الله الجميع يستفيد.
شكرا يا فندم، وبشكر معالي الوزيرة والقائمين على هذا المؤتمر.
الحين عندنا السبيكر الثالث معنا مانويلا فالكارو. مس مانويلا. Welcome, Manuela.
Thank you. Thank you all of.
I would like to welcome Manuela. She is a technology business
الأستاذة مانويلا.
manager.
It is already managed by, yeah.
Okay,
but the previous
one
speaker.
moment and we will share.
يعني بانتظار اني ابدا اطالع الفايل اللي عندي. شكرا لوقتك استاذة مانويلا، أنا هذا شرفي المشاركة معكم. شكرا. يبدو في عدم استقرار باتصال الإنترنت عند الأخت المتحدثة.
Provide you some insights into what is the driving, it is driving the urban adoption of modern technology around the globe, and how Oracle meets these needs to support you during this journey. Gartner said that utilities and smart cities are working together with the same scope. That is under the line. The real target of the smart cities is to embrace and to create new services for the citizen, for a better life. And I think that these two different industries has to work together. That's the reason I'm responsible for, in Oracle, for the development and innovation for utilities, smart cities, and healthcare, because it is everything is they have in common the life for the future, a better life for everyone. And in this sense, we are going to reply to the 23rd United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And let's have a look about what is changing in terms of utilities world and what is changing in terms of public sector trends. For the utility market, we know every one of us is looking how the climate change is phasing, is creating some extreme weather happening, and the renewable energy is becoming much more relevant in today's industry. And definitely, like any other company or industry, the cost efficiency is one of the drivers to create innovation, because we need to work in terms of budget and money to create innovation in the future. So it is really important to drive this in a correct way with a new business model, because digital transformation for the smart cities needs to be very focused on the strategy and how we can take this happen. And for the public sector, we know that 75% of budget goes through the IT infrastructure to keep it updated. And this is unsustainable for the future, especially in face of shrinking budget and the workforce that is either lacking on the skills to fix patch, and on the other side, they are not interested anymore to old technology. Forbes told us that 75% of the global workforce will be millennials. So we have a huge moment in which we need to bring together new talents, new competencies, new skills, digital challenges, and use this power with the traditional knowledge, with the traditional services, because we are in a unique moment in which we couldn't create something from scratch, but we need to integrate, starting with a new vision. On the other hand, we have the second pillar, is the tsunami coming from the data flow, because we know that 30 billion IoT-enabled devices servicing government and citizens are a tremendous amount of data, and it's going to become higher year over year. So we need to consider this, we're keeping this in mind, because we need to manage data, we need to secure data, and we need to get value from data. It's not just collecting data. And as the previous speaker said, we are going to have in 2050 year, we have the urbanization. So we need to recreate and we reinvent the cities to support the 68% of people running into the city. So if we keep in mind the target of 2050, we need to consider how our smart cities, our city of today, needs to be different, and what are the key pillars of that. So we have smart economy, we have smart environment, trash, we have financing, payments, mobility, and we need to work in infrastructure. But I would like to reinforce the message, because during the digital transformation, one is the main pillar that can fail or can give you the chance to success is people. People like citizens, people like your employees, people like your partners. They have to be involved, and then you have to listen to new way. You need to embrace diversity to create an inclusive world, because it is really important to construct and to build something new for everyone. And we know what happened during the pandemic, so we know how to manage now the healthcare for the entire globe. We need to step forward and create an environment which is much more inclusive, and data is one of the power that we need to bring. And if we are looking about interconnected smart city, I think that one of the main issues we are expecting and we are analyzing now is the silos. Everyone has the best solution, everyone has the best use case, but the real problem is to make it happen, is to bring all together. It's not just the brand new fresh application, is to have a very convergent vision for the city, in which, as the previous speaker said, cybersecurity is one of the most important areas in which we need to focus on, because it's our data, it's our life, and we need to guarantee that. It is important to bring the security into the data with a transparency for the application, but bring the security before the data moves, because it is really important to keep this in mind and proceed in this way. And we know how we can save money. We said previously in the previous speech, and create a new platform can really create a saving for the environment and for the citizen as well. It's not just put money on the table, but it's also bring back money for the innovation, for the a better place. And we know that using hyper-connected city can create an ROI around 3 or 4%, but they are unlocking savings for 45 million. So it is something that seems huge, but we need to consider this during our journey. And we need to keep in mind that technology is going to change very quickly. So it is important to know exactly at what stage we are and what we want to achieve. As we said, data is the most important things to create the smart cities. And I would like to show you how Middle East work on this site. And we know exactly that you are collecting data, but you need to step a little bit higher and having value from data with the integration of your applications, your verticals, your different environments, because it is there where you can create the value. And if we analyze in which area you are now gathering data, we know exactly that you came from the infrastructure and from the telecommunication. That is the first stage in which you can get data, because it is the first one, the first layer. But now you need to push and you start embracing the data coming from the field, coming from the environment, and so on. So it is important to moving to the rest of the pillar. And to make this happen, it is important that the data has to treat in a different way from the past, because it is not the same, because data are coming in real time, faster, and you need to guarantee that your new platform are going to manage this kind of new data in a new way. And for any organization, we know exactly that you have in place some application, some infrastructure, and you need to keep the control on your core business. And in the meantime, you have a different role. Working for the future of the business with agility and embrace both is the real challenge. So you have two kind of speed of work. So you have one is very fast and the other one is consolidation and optimization, and requires times to reimage to move to the future. In the meantime, we are in a unique moment in which we need to work together as an ecosystem, working with the municipalities, working with the city, with the government, with the utilities, with the school, with all the rest of the environment, with tourism. Everyone is part of our life. So it is important to work together, creating the interoperability of data, even if all the data formats are different. This is the main challenge we are facing. As Oracle, it is 40 years that we are working for data. So data is our bread every day. So we know how to use data. We embrace the innovation every year, and we put the innovation into our database. That is the power, the engine. And if we want to summarize how Oracle supports the smart cities, we can say we have the communication directly to the end user. We manage the backend, working with the infrastructure to analyze, to summarize, to pay. And in the meantime, we are working on the platform. They have a unique moment together for success. That is automation. Automation means help you to support, help you to be faster, help you succeed in this transformation through the new platforms. And I want to summarize this. This is the same idea, but I want to show you something concrete. The up of this picture is our reality. Every day we have new use cases, we have new needs from the citizen, we have new needs from the field, from the services. And if we bring this new life every day, and if we understood every day what kind of technology are helping us to be faster, flexible, and secure, like the edge computing, it is something that is happening. It is give us faster, and they create data faster than the past, directly on the field with the device. But we need to manage this in a different way, because in the past, we didn't have this kind of data, and we need to understand the value of this data. If we want, how fast we need to delete this data, who can be an enabler of this data, for what are other use case this data can be available or can be usable. So it is important to better understand the producer and the consumer of the data during their life, and then use this for the prevention, use this for the evolution. to better understand. And if the use case is coming up of our picture, obviously we need to have one point of contact to overcome silos. This is the convergent data intelligence platform that can have the chance to support you using any kind of data, heterogeneous transactional analytical workload, geographic text, whenever it's coming in your company, you can manage centrally, secure this data, and then you can give this data to the proper use case to make the services and create the services for your customer. In Italy, we created in 2018 this laboratory that is made by Lego, in which we represent every use case in the planet for the smart cities, from the trash, mobility, parking, and we analyze these using different kinds of software models, devices, and we export it in 40 countries around the world. And we implement many use cases, plug each use cases into our platform. And I would like to close my speech with one case that is coming from Italy. And during the pandemic, we worked with Pompeii. This is an archaeological site, and we guarantee using this use case to be safe, because we work with the organization to book the ticket without any physical connection. We created social distancing during the tour, so you are advised by the app that in front of you there are coming much more people, and they suggest different paths for safety. But this is just the entry point. As I said before, one use case and the information coming from one use case can be used like data for the other use case. And in this case, we are going to integrate accommodation, or transportation to buy the ticket for the people. You can add entertainment. So it is something that is very small, but you can plug any other use cases on top of that. The importance of this is that it is a very fast, and we win with this kind of example with a short experience, but now is going to be the income data for all the rest of the use cases coming for the specific experience. So I think that we can work together all around the world to create a better world. I want to thank you. I want to say shukran to you. And I hope we can work together in the future.
Yeah, I hope also. Thank you, Manuela. It was a great presentation and a great knowledge of information. We hope we all going to be in smart cities, more healthy, more sustainable. And thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Now we're going with Dr. Mishal. Are you with us, Dr. Mishal?
Camera مفترض. Hi, how are you?
How are you, Dr. Mishal? Thank you for your time.
I'm using artificial intelligence, and my camera doesn't hear my voice. Yeah, now we had to do it manually.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for having me. Yeah, we're ready. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Introduce me. Shall I introduce myself?
I will introduce you for 1 minute.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Mishal Shaheen was appointed in 2021 as a Director General for Youth Public Authority, YPA. In the role, he has also served as a Board Director of YBA. In 2021, GCC Ministry of Youth and Sport appointed him Chairman of GCC Youth Strategy Committee. Also, he is a member on several board and high-level committees, such as Kuwait University Center and Excellent Board, SCPD Kuwait Share for Knowledge and Country Action Plan Follow-up Committee on Human Capital Development. Thank you for your time, Dr. Mishal. I hope, now it's okay. Welcome, Dr. Mishal. Thank you for waiting. We are happy that you are with us.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here too. Thank you for giving me this, great opportunity to share our experiences and our desires at YPA, the Public Authority of Youth. I shared a small screen. I don't know if everyone is seeing it right now, right? Is it on the board? Is it visible? Okay, wonderful.
Go ahead.
It's very interesting. Yes. First of all, I was really inspired by the speech given to us by Ms. Manuela. It was very nice, and I think I was really lucky to basically precede her in terms of what I intend to discuss within the coming few minutes. I'm quite sure seeing this kind of development and understanding how to create and build and operate AI or a smart city is something of great relevance and importance. But we always believe, we at YPO understand that the real challenge is in human power and human enabling, and especially when it comes to youth. Maybe one of the major reasons why I was really excited to join this conference is because of our obligation, our responsibility towards preparing the workforce behind those smart cities that we intend to create and innovate. I mean, innovation is always connected to manpower, and manpower always come with those who are maybe younger than we are. And this is our mandate at YPA. Another important issue I think we need to consider when discussing smart cities and the process towards reaching a productive, sustainable, smart AI city is basically where it fits in terms of entrepreneurship and the creation of money. We all know that we live in a capitalist economy, and innovation comes in relation with money and entrepreneurship. And this is where we started our process, our endeavor at YPA to enable our Kuwaiti youth, youth within the Middle East, youth within the region, to be productive aspects, to be entrepreneurs, to be creators, to be builders of this coming development that we all wish for. It's nice to explain innovation and smart cities on paper. It's nice to see it done on the business plans, but when you come to the process of functionality and operation, I think the challenge is actually always there in the beginning, the first steps of any project that we intend to do. And this is what we tried to figure out and try to implement with our partners, Boeing, Horizon X, in terms of preparing Kuwait youth toward this huge development. I would like to share with our valuable listeners this entrepreneurial project, which basically is the steps ahead of producing a smart city. We always think the first step would be in what kind of scouting and training we need to do. How can we prepare our youth and provide them with the skills required to operate those cities? Let me give you an example. In the past few months, YPA has transferred fully to the Azure, to the cloud system, which is considered as digital transformation. Now, digital transformation doesn't become active or productive unless you start utilizing the cloud system available. In other words, how would you implement AI in your finances? How would you implement it in your the training projects that we have at YPA? And we noticed that the problem was with preparing our employees within the YPA system itself to operate the cloud or the Azure service that we have. This is when we decided to start the training program for practitioners and cloud architects to be able to use the technology that we have. Having technology is one thing. Having the power and the skill technique to train the youth is another one. And we tried to put a timeline. What you see here in front of you is a 5-year plan basically to prepare our youth for the smart cities that we intend to build in Kuwait. Now, the volume in terms of production or the success that we intend to reach depends on how well we train our youth and how well we can operate and work with our partners. And because this conference and a lot of our stakeholders, a lot of our people who we are willing and desiring to work with are with us today and available. I located 3 columns, if you can see in the chart in front of you. One of them would be what we expect our major partner, Boeing, to be providing. One would be what YPA intend to support. And the third column is for everyone listening to this speech that I'm giving. This is actually an invitation for all major stakeholders, for all partners to be part of this project that we find it challenging, but it's an opportunity for everyone, for all of us to work together. I would like to run through the steps as we move along, just to make sure and clarify for our stakeholders what we expect from them and what they might expect from us. I'll need to be just, frank and straightforward with what I intend to say. We're looking for partners, and I will reiterate what Ms. Manuela said, that we are looking forward to working together. And we can only start working together once we have a project that we all can be indulged and participate in. And I think this is one of the most interesting projects that would be happening in Kuwait within the coming 5 years. In the time being, we are the staff scouting and training segment of this project. And you see, this is going to be an ongoing process, but the main bulk of it is going to be happening 2022, the year we're working in right now. You see, with AI and with technology and with blockchain and with fintech and with metaverse, there's a lot of options to choose. There are a lot of service providers. There are a lot of companies that provide those services. You have, for example, with the cloud, you choose, you'd go with the Azure cloud, or you'd go with AWS, or you'd go with Google, or maybe Huawei is part of as a service provider. How we're going to coordinate, how are we going to train our staff to work with whom and how and where is actually very complicated for people who are not within the field themselves. And this is where we need to basically coordinate and work together. The training program and the staff and the scouting is a process that needs to be fulfilled a year and a half before we actually start the Kuwait Digital Startup Campus. Maybe I didn't explain how the project works. It's basically we're going to be building, fitting in a digital startup campus for the youth, to serve the youth in the Middle East. Everybody wants to work with AI. Anybody who wants to work in blockchain needs a campus, needs a hub to be able to function and work with. We're talking about something like, Station F and basically Plexil in UK. We're trying to do a mega project in Kuwait that would basically serve the feeders, the major component of the smart cities that we all dream of. So basically, we're going to go within the self-scouting and training process, which is a very complicated step. Once we get that done, we're actually very much interested and investing in the STEM program. For you, the educational system, education needs to support these artificial cities or those smart cities that we intend to build. And I can't imagine a smart city without a STEM project or a STEM program that basically feeds into it 10 to 15 years ahead of that. Youth, the Gen X, the generations coming who are going to be the population, the citizens of those cities need to be prepared and equipped with the tools to basically, be productive in such a community. I mean, one of the best examples I can think about is the 3D printers. I mean, 3D printers have been there for the past maybe 8 to 10 years, right? But only few of us actually, only few of our youth who really know how to use those 3D printers, even though they're very important. And I think the problem, the obstacle was, or is, in preparing them to use those equipments and use this technology and technique. we move later on to the incubators and accelerations, entrepreneurship programs, cognitive services, founders programs, accelerated programs. There's a lot of work to be done, and we're going to be needing a lot of support and help from all of you. Everyone is welcome to be part of this project. But I think it's a cohesive mission. I think all of us need to fit in with our expertise, with our knowledge, with our beliefs in terms of how much we actually think we can produce a smart city with people who basically can provide the outcomes and provide the knowledge required. We at YPA are very well open and welcoming for all companies or organizations or social and governmental entities to basically help us and provide a service, knowledge, and know-how to basically help this project succeed and hopefully develop into something much bigger and much functional. I do apologize for maybe taking much more of my time, but I'm available for any questions if anybody is interested in asking anything. But I would like to thank our host and would thank all our listeners for giving us the time. Thank you very much.
Thank you a lot, Dr. Mish'al, for your time, and we are proud of your achievement, and we hope we all use a jury in our work. Thanks a lot. If anyone has a question for Dr. Mish'al. I don't think anyone has any question. Thank you, Doctor. And we will proceed with Mr. Ahmed Faraj. Are you ready?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you very well. Can you?
Great, yes. Okay, I think I cannot share.
I will introduce Mr. Ahmed Faraj. Ahmed Faraj is currently a regional director for smart city government and public safety industry at Microsoft for the Middle East cluster region. In the current capacity, he leads the Microsoft Government Industry Solution and large digital transformation, working closely with senior government executive, solution provider, consulting firm to help them overcome their technical and business regulation. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed Faraj, for your opportunity and participating with us. Your time, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. First, it's a pleasure really to be here. Exciting times on a very interesting topic. And Dr. Mish'al, I'm proud of the partnership. We're proud to be your partner for your digital transformation, and we're looking forward to work together. أنا متهيألي في مترجم صح؟ فأنا ممكن معظم الأودينس بالعربي فال switch to Arabic. It's exciting to talk about sustainability in smart cities. Sometimes احنا لما بنيجي نفكر في smart city amount of innovation اللي بيحصل، الداتا سنترز، التكنولوجي اللي بتبقى موجوده في السمارت سيتي ليها امباكت على الكلايمت. ازاي can we design smart cities that are sustainable? As Microsoft, we have a big commitment towards sustainability, and if you look at the challenges we see inside a smart city, ل 80% من الجلوبال انرجي كونسومشن اللي بيحصل من سمارت سيتيز او من السيتيز ان جنرال. الاربن ارياز اكاونت اكتر من 75% of global carbon dioxide emissions بيطلع من cities. 1 in 4 cities globally are stressed in terms of their water needs geographically, and this puts a burden طبعا على السيتي نفسها. الويست اللي بيطلع بالذات لما يكون السيتي بتتحول الى سمارت سيتي بيبقى فيه الاماونت اوف الكترونيك ويست is getting huge, and the way ازاي نتخلص من الالكترونيك ويست ده في حد ذاته بيمثل تحدي كبير لمعظم المدن في العالم. لما نيجي نبص على مثلا كميه المباني نفسها، البيلدينج نفسه، كل ما البيلدينجز بتزيد في السيتي كل ده بيحط اكتر امباكت على الانفايرمنت. الحقيقه عشان نيجي نقدر نوازن ما بين السستينابيلتي اند انوفيشن لازم يبقى في بلان. احنا as Microsoft we have big focus على how we create resilient cities and sustainable cities. الموضوع ما بيجيش بسهوله، لازم نبص على الانتاير ايكو سيستم. لازم في جزء له علاقه بالتكنولوجي، لازم في جزء له علاقه ب how we transform السولوشنز بتاعتنا او البروفايدرز بتوعنا ان هم يبقوا more eco friendly and more sustainable. وفي الاخر how we can be transparent in how we measure this impact that the solutions would have on the environment. We started by ourselves as Microsoft. We started by ourselves. احنا حاليا we are carbon neutral. We are planning to be carbon negative. معنى كلمة carbon negative إن احنا we remove from the environment more than we produce to the environment. We want to be water positive by 2030, zero waste by 2030. وكمان في pledge مش موجود هنا على السلايد which is we want to withdraw the impact that Microsoft had on the environment over the past since Microsoft was established till day by 2050. يعني لو احنا مايكروسوفت عملنا داتا سنتر، انت بتعمل داتا سنتر على فكره عندك سيرفر موجود، ده ليه امباكت على الانفايرمنت. طب تخيل انت بقى شركه عندها مئات الداتا سنترز في العالم، الامباكت ده كله اللي احنا حطيناه في الانفايرمنت اسمه كاربون ايميشن، احنا دلوقتي ليترالي بنسحبه من الجو. عملنا بروجرامز في العالم بتسحب الكربون from the air to take that and convert it into other sources, and we are pledged as a company to take كل الامباكت اللي عملناه على الانفايرمنت by 2050 نسحبه من الجو. decarbonization what we call it. طيب لما نيجي نبص على a city، ازاي السيتي تبقى sustainable؟ وهاو دو وي انشور ان كل السكشنز او الاندستريز اللي شغاله في السيتي ار sustainable؟ طبعا السيتي فيها كل حاجه، فيها مانيفاكتشرنج، فيها ريتيل، فيها بنوك، فيها شوارع، فيها ويست، فيها ووتر. طب هاو دو وي انشور ان الكلام ده كله is being sustainable؟ لما نيجي نبص محتاجين نركز على 4 main areas which is first around the carbon and what we call the carbon accounting. ازاي يبقى عندي a proper way of accounting الكربون emission، يعني ابقى عارف كل جزء في السيتي عندي what is the impact of carbon that it is producing to the city. الكربون accounting مهم جدا جدا جدا. الجزء الثاني اللي مهم برضو هو الجزء الخاص بالواتر، استهلاك الميه عامل ازاي؟ how do I optimize الميه؟ how do I optimize السنسورز اللي بتقيس سواء مش بس الميه in terms of usage, in terms of quality and how it's being used and reused, etc. الجزء الثالث المهم قوي جزء الويست، وانا I look at the energy part of being carbon, I look at the water part and the usage, I look at the waste part سواء كان electronic waste او organic waste. And there's a lot of things نقدر نفكر فيها in terms of احنا بنشوف دايما recycling. طب انا how can I create a culture في السيتي to encourage people to recycle؟ How can I give incentives للprivate sector اللي شغال في السيتي for them to recycle their products, etc. حاجة الثالثة الايكو سيستم. There has to be a unified ecosystem that supports the sustainability agenda جوه السمارت سيتي. فما بين قياس الكربون وقياس الواتر وقياس الويست and the ecosystem we have to have a unique plan. طبعا اكبر contribution انا لازم اسيطر عليه موضوع الباور جنريشن، محطات الكهرباء. فلما نيجي نبص على الباور هتلاقي ان الباور تقسيمه غالبا ما بين البيلدينجز، الاندستريال بارت، الترانسبورتيشن. يعني مثلا الناس كده ما بتاخدش بالها ان انا كوني بس قدرت ان انا اوبتمايز الترافيك يبقى انا قللت عدد العربيات اللي ماشيه في الشارع، يبقى انا عملت بوزيتيف امباكت على الانفايرمنت. كون ان انا عندي بيلدينج بيتبني وانا قدرت ان انا احط تكنولوجي تخلي البيلدينج ده انرجي افيشنت، انا قللت الانفايرمنتال امباكت وهكذا. ف I need to study الكربون accounting across where it is being produced and how I can be more efficient. خلي بالنا هنا and this is where we think a data first approach is extremely important. دي مشكلة معظم السيتيز. انت لو سألت اي حد دلوقتي in a smart city or urban planning how much is the carbon emissions اللي بتطلع من الترانسبورتيشن او من البيلدينجز او من الفاكتوريز الموجوده او المصانع الموجوده. It's very hard to quantify. So that's why we need to have that initiatives to have the right carbon accounting عشان نقدر نحسب، عشان نقدر نحسن، عشان نقدر make sure ان احنا we always as a city we are sustainable. حابب discuss معاكم بعض الاكزامبلز from worldwide. عادة الناس لما بتتكلم على السستينابيلتي بتقول لك اوكي خلاص ريسايكلينج او الكتريك كارز او مثلا هحط سنسورز في السيتي علشان اقيس الووتر وما تبقاش الووتر ويستد وريوز الووتر which is the common scenarios that we understand. بس في حاجات كتيرة احنا ما بناخدش بالنا منها and if we do it at scale هنحس بالفرق which is banks. هل البانكس ليهم علاقة دور في السستينابيلتي؟ يس ليهم علاقة. الريتيلرز ليهم علاقة absolutely. الاربن بلاننج، الانرجي طبعا واضحة اكيد الانرجي ليهم والواتر. تعالوا نبص على شوية examples of what we have done worldwide as a company that might inspire some thinking of how we think of a city globally. أول حاجة الانرجي شيرنج. concept الانرجي شيرنج is an evolving concept في السمارت سيتيز. بمعنى أنا عندي دلوقتي بيتي في سمارت سيتي وأنا في البيت ده مسافر في الصيف. طب ما أنا في الصيف أنا عندي ثيرمال باور بتطلع in excess. البيت اللي جنبي موجود، طب ليه ما يبقاش فيه thermal microgrid of energy sharing across multiple entities؟ ده اللي عملناه في أكتر من مكان with our partner شركة اسمها EcoGrid. قدرنا إن احنا نعمل this energy sharing between buildings or between households. لو أنا عندي excess energy من renewable somebody else is using that and we give it back to the grid وتتخصم من فاتورة الكهرباء بتاعتي. That's the type of innovation that we want to drive. example تاني على retailer. هل retailer ممكن يساعد؟ طبعا. We had an initiative مع H&M. We went إن احنا people are recycling the clothes that they have and using AIs عملنا smart bins. when you لما تحط اللبس اللي موجود اللي انت رجعته الكاميرا will detect the type of clothes that you have put back وبيزد على ده بتجيب you incentive. هل ده كان ليه امباكت كبير؟ الناس بدأت تريسايكل الاولد كلوز اللي عندها والكاميرا بتديتكت الكلام ده and it gives more and more incentives. ده دور ريتيلر. طبعا حدث ولا حرج عن دور الووتر ليفل سنسورز and how to detect الووتر ليفل sensors to visualize the flooding before it happens, and we did this in North Carolina. قدرنا ان احنا نعمل زي using the AI for predicting the level of floods وبالتالي نمنع حدوث اي environmental catastrophe that has an impact on the environment. And again, the prediction of catastrophe of crisis in general is a very very important part and we can talk for a long time عنه in smart cities. الجزء الثالث البنوك. هل البنك ليه دور؟ طبعا. لما البنك يعمل لك مثلا reward system مبني على sustainability. How are you sustainable؟ لما يجي يعمل لك بنك يعمل لك mortgage على what they call green mortgage. يعني he finances money علشان for people to improve their household, to move to green, to install solar systems. فالبنوك ليها دور. كونه اصلا يديك electronic banking ما بتطبعش receipts ده also has an impact. تخيل لو كل البنوك بطلت يبقى في paper receipts. How big is the impact on that type of بس small single transformation. البنوك برضو عندها دور كبير جدا in what we call green payments. لان دلوقتي لما بتيجي تطبع تشتري من على الموبايل او تسكان بالان اف سي مفيش ورقه بتبرنت. This small change has a huge impact on how a city can be sustainable. How they can ازاي يدعموا الشركات الصغيره والمتوسطه ان هي يبقى عندها platform that support also online and digital payments وبالتالي بتشيل خالص impact of paper. الموبيليتي من اكبر الحاجات اللي احنا لو عملنا فيها small changes هيبقى فيها the highest impact. We worked مع city of Antwerp. حطينا sensors. السيتي لوحدها بيخش لها اكتر من 14,000 عربيه. لما عن طريق الاي او تي والاي اي when you optimize الترافيك وتعمل custom mobility solution وتعمل people know when to drive, when to stop, when to مثلا leave their house to or you do carpooling. كل ده small changes in how people drive, how people when they drive, avoiding traffic jams have a huge impact on mobility and on sustainability, and that's what we have done مع City of Antwerp by putting a cloud-based mobility platform اللي ساعدت الناس ان ياخد الديسيجن. انا لو عارف مسبقا ان الوقت ده زحمه جدا، هاخد ميعاد متاخر او همشي متاخر 5 دقائق، فانا كده ما وقفتش في الزحمه، فانا بالتالي الانبعاثات اللي طلعت من العربيات قلت، فبالتالي بقيت صديق للبيئه. كل التغيرات الصغيره دي لما بتتعمل على سكيل ليها امباكت كبير جدا على المناخ وعلى البيئه. نفس القصه برضو في سيتي اوف سبين، نفس الكلام، مش بس على الترانسبورتيشن، على البابليك لايتنج. لما قدرنا نوبتمايز بس البابليك لايتنج ده الى حد ما بقى في معظم الدول دلوقتي ان هي السنسورز بتاعت اللايت او الاضاءه اللي في الشوارع بتشتغل بالليل، بتشتغل في مواعيد معينه، بتشتغل بسنسور، بتشتغل بسولار باور. فاجين that's a very very important part of a smart city. جزء تاني ناس كتيره ما بتاخدش بالها منه هو البايو. خلي بالنا دايما لما بنتكلم سستينابيلتي بنتكلم على انرجي ووتر وويست، في جزء كبير بنسميه بايو دايفرسيتي. مهم جدا ان انا، عشان احنا كلمه سستينابيلتي معناها ان انا العالم اللي احنا عايشين فيه ده يقدر يبقى سستينبل، يعني يقدر مش هنيجي في وقت يبقى مواردنا اكتر من او احتياجاتنا اكتر من الريسورسز اللي موجوده عندنا. طب هل في انوفيشن ممكن ياثر على الطيور، على انواع معينه من الحيوانات، يعمل خلل في النظام البيئي؟ يعني مثلا هنا في اسكتلند لما حطوا الويند تاورز الكبيره، الويند تاورز دي بدات تعمل ديستراكشن او يعني ديسربشن لانواع معينه من الطيور. يوزنج الاي اي قدروا يحطوا كاميرات اللي بتتعرف على الانواع الطيور دي على الويند تاورز، وقدروا يغيروا في طريقه الويند تاورز ويعرفوا الباترنز دي ويعرفوا الامباكت اوف ذا باي دايفرستي اوف ا سوليوشن، حتى لو في انوفيشن على الباي دايفرستي. فزي ما شايفين الكاميرا بتقدر تديتكت انواع الطيور المهاجره دي، وتقدر نعمل تغيرات علشان نقلل التاثير البيئي لهذه السوليوشنز على النوع ده من الطيور. الجزء الثالث الكونستراكشن. طب انا كسمارت سيتي ببني عمارات، وببني كومباوندز، وببني ليفنج ميكس يوز. how do I know الامباكت بتاع الكلام ده in terms of environment. again environmental impact I need to look على كذا حاجه. ما انا لو المبنى ده اتبنى ليه امباكت على الانفايرمنت، لو التكنولوجي اللي فيه موجوده في داتا سنترز موجوده جوه المبنى ليها امباكت، لو التكنولوجي فيه موجوده على الكلاود امباكت اقل، لو هو مسكون بيه ناس 10 غير لما يبقى المبنى ده فيه 1000 بني ادم، لو في 20,000 عربيه بتروح المكان ده كل يوم غير لما يكون في عربيتين. فكل ده محتاج يدرس. اشتغلنا مع سيتي ان كندا with one of our partners، وعملنا detailed solution بيعمل لك urban heat map، وبيقدر ان هو ياخد كل الداتا دي سواء من الساتلايت ايمج للمكان، البيلدينج انفورميشن، الاوكيبنت انفورميشن، الناس اللي ساكنه في المكان، دخولهم وخروجهم، السيستمز الموجوده، التمبريتشرز، كل الكلام ده كله، ويقدر يطلع لك بيه ديتيل مايكرو ليفل اناليسيز على المبنى ده. يعني اقدر اقول لك ان زي ما احنا شايفين هنا في الصوره، ادي شكل الخريطه، ادي شكل الانفورميشن اللي احنا جمعناها، وادي شكل الهيت ماب. بيقول لك ان المكان الاحمر ده هو اكتر مكان هيبقى بيطلع كربون ايميشن، هيبقى فيه مشكله في البلاننج بتاعه. فبالتالي اقدر ان انا حتى في مرحله التخطيط لسمارت سيتي اقدر اخطط صح، واقدر اعرف انهي مكان هيبقى فيه تجمعات اكتر واقدر اعمل له بلاننج. الاكتر من كده ان انا ممكن اقارن الوضع الحالي بالوضع المستقبلي بالبريدكشن. يعني باستعمال اي اقدر اتنبأ. طب لو انا خليت المبنى ده مثلا بدل 10 ادوار يبقى مثلا 5 ادوار 6 ادوار، لو انا خليت الباركينج بالشكل الفلاني، لو خليت البيلدينج مانجمنت سيستم مش ديبلويد لوكالي بقى موجود على الكلاود، فما بقاش في داتا سنترز، وهكذا. الويست اللي بيطلع بقى بيستعمل في الزراعه بتاعه المبنى فبقت ريسايكلبل ويست، وهكذا. اقدر اخد البلانز دي واقدر ابلان ليها الانفايرمنتال امباكت فور الكونستراكشن. الحقيقه انا عارف ان انا كان عندي بس 10 دقائق، احنا يعني حبيت في ال10 دقائق دول ان انا يعني نفكر سوا in terms of what are the angles of sustainable city. لما اجي ابني sustainable city بفكر في ايه؟ بفكر في الكاربون اكاونتنج، بفكر في الهيومن behavior، بفكر في الترانسبورتيشن زي ما شفنا and how we can optimize transportation وروتس، بفكر في الاي تي واللايتنينج، بفكر في الشركات والكونستراكشن، حتى البنوك كونها بتعمل جرين مورجج، بتعمل digital campaigns او digital payment. This also has an impact on the environment. With this, Dr. Mona, I will stop. If there's any questions, I'm happy to take it.
No, I'm Mona, not doctor yet. I will hope I will be doctor soon.
Mona.
Inshallah. Thank you a lot. It was a great presentation. ما شاء الله غطيت كل الجوانب دكتور أحمد. في any chat, please? Any question in the chat?
Look at the chat.
I think no, they are thanking you.
في الثروة الحيوانية والسمكية. في سؤال عن الثروة الحيوانية والسمكية I think.
الزراعة.
الزراعة صح مظبوط. أنا ما اتكلمتش عن الزراعة فعلا والثروة الحيوانية والسمكية عن قصد، لأن إحنا بنتكلم هنا أكتر في مؤتمر للمدن الذكية، والزراعة والثروات الحيوانية بتبقى مش موجودة جوه المدن. لكن أنا متفق معاك جدا لو بنتكلم في مبدأ في البيئة أو السستينابيلتي سولوشنز، السمارت اجريكلتشرز لازم نتكلم فيها طبعا. بس يمكن
طبعا العنصر البيئي مهم جدا في السمارت سيتي، انها تكون مثل ما انت قلت انبعاثات، لازم تكون حماية البيئة من ضمنها الزراعة، راح يحسن المستوى. يعطيك العافية دكتور أحمد، سعيدين جدا بمشاركتك.
شكرا يا فندم.
وش presentation ما شاء الله. نيم, Mr. Allen. Next speaker is Mr. Allen. Are you with us, Mr. Allen? Allen.
I am.
Welcome, Mr. Allen. Thank you for waiting, and thank you for time and participation in our conference.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
هذا بالنسبة لي.
I would like to introduce Mr. Alan Bird. Alan Bird is W3C Global Business Development Leader. Mr. Bird is leading W3 international staff effort to strengthen the W3C membership program and identify the business development strategy. Thank you, Mr. Bird, for your time, and we are hoping for your knowledge to participate in our smart city, to be more smart. And W3C is the main character in smart cities. Can you start, please? Thank you. Yeah, everything is okay. Perfect. Go ahead.
Back in 1994. We are a member-based consortia with about 460 members around the globe and 1,600 people from those member organizations working on web standards every day. Anytime you type www.anything, you're using W3C standards. We have liaisons with over 85 organizations and a lot of groups. What is the future of web standards? We're trying to identify things that are important to the world and moving it forward. These are some examples, and some of them tie into smart cities, voice interactive on the web, being able to talk to your car, have it know where you want to go in a city, and have it pick a route for you that works the best. Maps for the web, being able to depend on the infrastructure that you've got downloaded from the map application you choose to use and have it interoperate effectively with you. But you say you're not a web company, you're a technology company, you're a municipality, you're something else. Why should you be involved? Well, you should be involved to help shape the solutions. If we don't have the municipalities and the people that are doing smart buildings and smart traffic and things like that involved in our conversations, we're not going to build the right standards. So we need people that, like those on the call, to participate in our activities. Protect your business. Make sure that your interests are being represented by you, not by your competitors or not by a standards organization that represents a broad group of organizations. Turn the early insights into advantage. One of the things we do at W3C is have people implement the standards as we're moving ahead. So if you have an idea that should be in the web, you bring it to us, we start implementing it, you can implement that. Network opportunities. If you have an idea and you want to go work with a person from company X who is also a W3C member, you can go connect with them directly. You don't have to go up and around and through or through the W3C team to get to them. So a lot of networking, both on a technical level and on a business level, to get your things done. Resources. If you've identified a problem on the web that you're doing engineering with around a problem on the web today, you can bring that to W3C, and you don't just have your engineers working on it, you have all the membership working on it to make it better. And staying current on the things, and we're on a hot topic today with smart cities. What's going on in smart cities? How do we make it all interoperate? How do we make it work? So we work in lots of areas. Whoops. We work in lots of areas, things like automotive and transportation. As you can imagine, smart cars and autonomous vehicles play a key role in smart cities. How do you make them work in that connected world? Providing media and entertainment, doing web advertising. Another important area is payments and commerce. How do you make those micro payments that are important to monetize the smart cities infrastructure? How do you pay the road fees, the road usage fees from the vehicle without somebody having to take out a payment method and apply it? Smart cities, the topic of what we're doing today. Digital publishing, how do you take the information you have and digitize it and make it available to people when they need it, where they need it? And what we call Web of Things. So I heard an earlier speaker talk about the problem of silos. Web of Things fixes that problem. We think that the core attributes that you want to manage on a thing are the same regardless of which vendor provides you those things. So there should be a way to abstract that data and have it standardized. That's what the Web of Things is all about. So web payments, as I talked about, there are two things that are also important though. One is web authentication, making sure that you know the payment is coming from who you want it to be coming from and that it's going where you want it to go. That becomes ever more important in a smart city context where you're making, the example I use is I'm driving a vehicle into London and I want to be able to say, I'm going to Center City and I'm going to be near the banks. So find a garage for me. I want you to pick me the best route. I want you to pay my tolls as I go. I want you to reserve a parking spot and pay for it while I am there. So there's a lot of transactions that happen in that thread. Make sure they're all done securely and safely, and that I know what the transactions are, and only the people I should be paying are paying. Automotive and transportation is essential, right? It's when the data from a car needs to be talking to the infrastructure that's in the roadways and in the light posts and in the stoplights to help control the flow of traffic and to give you the feedback and let you know, based on what's going on, here's an alternative route you may want to take today. So it's making sure that your car and the whole transportation system, it could be an autonomous bus. We're seeing people implement those, and that's talking by the sensor on the end, talking over the web to the command and control center and talking back, making sure that transaction thread is safe and secure the whole way. I talked about Web of Things. Web of Things is designed to be that bridge. So we've got people putting Web of Things sensors in smart buildings as they're doing it. So the concrete is when they pour the foundation, they're putting the sensors in the concrete so that they can start monitoring the weight in the building. They can monitor how much utilities are being used in the building by putting sensors there. And a lot of smart industry, smart cities are being are starting to implement our Web of Things technologies. So smart cities is literally happening now. We just started working on it. We're going to form what we call an interest group, which is really designed to get your use cases and requirements together so we know how to work on the right things for you. We're looking to get expert input from that. And one of the ways we did that was at a Smart Cities workshop, which was held in June of last year. It was a virtual workshop. We had 55 attendees from around the globe. There were 3 sessions and 11 presentations over 2 days, on one day, I mean. And we had technology companies, we had academia, we had the government agencies, we had the standards bodies, or in other words, the entire community you need to make sure you're looking at smart cities from a way of how the web is impacting it and what needs to be done. If you're interested, there's a report from that workshop on w3.org. That went the wrong way. In summary, the open web is a platform for delivering value to all industries. It's value for smart cities. It's the infrastructure for smart cities. It's how things get connected. It's all those endpoints. But the web doesn't evolve because a few people figure out what needs to happen. It evolves because of people like yourselves getting involved and telling us what you need the web to do for you to make your city better, to make your solution sets better, to provide the integration and the ease of integration that you want as you're implementing smart cities. As I said, our work on smart cities is just starting, so your voice is needed in the conversation. We don't have enough people from the Gulf involved in the activities, so I would encourage you to contact my partner, my associates, Nayef or Mohammed, at the GCC chapter if you're interested in this and helping us evolve our work as we move forward. So that was a short presentation, but hopefully there was some learning in there for you. Mona, thank you so much for letting me be a part of the event.
Thank you for participating with us, and thank you for your time, Mr. Bird, and we hope we have more sessions together. Inshallah, I will tell Naif, he's already with us, inshallah, we will soon be together. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, at last, we will say that with us, May Lee. Thank you, Mrs. Lee.
Yes, I'm here. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your time. You are from 6 p.m. with us. Thanks a lot for your time and your patience with us. It's okay, huh? And it will be the best for the end, huh? We say it.
As they always say, yeah. They always say, thank you for the invite. They also say, you know, to keep the
speakers.
To keep it. Can you see my screen actually?
Yeah, I see. I will want to introduce you for a minute.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maili is a highly experienced managing consultant, over 25 years experience, and has worked in many sectors on both information and infrastructure technology. She is a specialist in advising clients on their digital transformation strategies, designing transformation plans and future operating models. Her area of experience are enterprise and infrastructure transformation, a lot of transformation work. A smart city, IT and communication transformation, 5G wireless technology and cloud infrastructure in both telco and virtual. Hope for your experience to participate with us today in 5G for smart cities. Thanks a lot, Ms. Lee, and go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mona, for the invite. They also say, you know, they keep the best for the last. They keep it the best for the last. I think, you know, in my 30 years experience, there's certainly a lot of transformations looking at the technology change. What I want to talk about is what the 5G can do for the smart city and what kind of key roles that it will play. To start with, before we go into the detail, I have heard a lot of friends online talk about smart city, talk about sustainability, talking about AI technology, talking about different things. I'd like to pull the things back a little bit, looking at why so many countries like Kuwait focus on the smart city. To put it in a quite simple way, is the increasing of the population, the urbanization. The forecast suggested by the United Nations that by 2050, you will have 70% of the global populations live in the city, and and also the 70% of global GDP will be produced by the city. 37 of the world's largest economy, if you look at it individually, is actually in the city. So urbanization is happening globally. And with that, they come out with the kind of challenge in the cities. For example, how to deal with the city's government in terms of terrorist attacks, natural disaster, passive cross-department linkage, because you have multiple departments, for example, happening in Kuwait during the pandemic, how the different departments work together to make the vaccine centers happen quickly, and how you can ensure people's livelihoods, ensure the unbalanced education in the different region will not happen, and the medical health conditions can be improved for different for everybody. The other bigger focus in the bigger city is all become big industry development, and with that, less decision support, enterprise innovation, upgrade and transforming difficulty, also digitalization happening in the industrial sector. How would you manage that? Not the last, and as my colleague from Microsoft is talking about, is everything is about the sustainability, the environment, the ecology. How could you reduce the pollution, improve recycling? How the green energy can be used in every sector across the city, reduces the carbon footprint. So all of this, which means more and more the government is looking at how they can use the IT and city technology to provide the real-time, interactive and integrated services, creating convenience for the residents, promoting economic growth, improve government efficiency, enhancing cities' competitiveness, and building sustainable city. In that respect, during the last decade, things like 2014, 2015, lots of the bigger cities already initiated different visions that they wanted to build a energy-saving city in Amsterdam. They wanted to build a smart nation in Singapore. They wanted to have more high-speed broadband and smart traffic to support a smart grid in New York. So various different initiatives have been done globally. And in China, at the moment, it's also a big drive to develop the smart city since back 5 or 6 years ago. At the moment, we are talking about over 200 planned smart cities already in deployment. For example, in Nanjing, they will have smart infrastructure, smart industry, smart government initiatives, looking at the different aspects to make the city work more efficiently and more kind of IT city driven of city working together. And in Shanghai, there's 3 different types of networks already being deployed to manage the IoT devices, to manage the cloud connectivity, to manage the energy supplies. And in Shenzhen, there's a strategy to already enable the ICT infrastructure across the whole city to enable the smart transportations, to ensure the sustainability in the city, to reduce the carbon, to make the city more eco-friendly. So there are various technologies, ICT technology being used and deployed in so many cities in China to drive the smart city. Now, what is exactly the smart city look like? So to look at this, I used this is developed by EU when looking at the smart city vision and strategy different objective. So the EU presented a very good framework as to how they can achieve the service creation and the value realization in smart city vision. So they start looking at the first layer is to build as a digital infrastructure as a fully convergent and agile connectivity with the gigabytes of optical infrastructure, 5G, even next generation Wi-Fi. On the second layer, so they're thinking back to the cloud data center, where enables the efficiency and secure information sharing and consolidation. The friend from the American mentioned that, security and the privacy is more important, and the EU organization is very strong in terms of the ensure security and privacy. The third layer, of course, is a different platform, including the IoT, will provide a unified management and bring sensitive things together. On top of that, it supports about 5 different sectors focus: smart government, where city interaction operation centers provide smart services, digital services online for the citizens. Looking at the smart economy, where smart community and smart industry campus, and they can support the community, how the economy and community to work. Then you're looking at the smart mobility, as the colleagues mentioned earlier on. What kind of the transportations, autonomous drive, and different smart logistics to ensure the cities continue moving. And the seventh things about that is the smart environment. As I mentioned before, environment sustainability is very important. How would you manage the environment monitoring? Manage the smart waste, manage the water, manage the energy use for the street line, for the building energy consumption. The eighth part of that is looking at the smart city, smart people, where the smart education will be provide city open platform portal will be to support the citizen services. Then the last one, not the least, is smart living, looking at the smart safety, security in the city. Smart house can provide the people with health care, and the smart home can provide the more intelligent home working, energy saving, and the smart public range service, and so many more. So there are big smart city visions, and lots of people can look at. Now, let's go back to the vision. How would you build this kind of smart city big vision? So I use the inspiration from the infrastructure perspective to the data platform and to the integration to the application. This is a standard building up of the ICT architecture. So on the bottom layers, so with different devices, this could be connected street light, could be drone, connected CCTV, connected smart meter, and many more IoT devices. On top of that is your near field connectivities, things like you connected to your access router, connected to your Wi-Fi routers, connect to your outdoor different outdoor routers, and also connected to other various different switches routers, connected into different network layer, which could be 5G, could be fiber. Then the last is all the information collected being stored and used in the different servers, storage, could be virtualized data center or could be physical data center. And above that, the series of the platform used for the data analytics, used to provide the AI capabilities, used to manage a different videos distribution, and used to manage a different CCTV image. But on top of that, it's more important that what kind of applications should be integrated to manage the different government services, to manage the tourism information, to manage the city's environment monitoring, and may help to make a decision. On the right-hand side, I also give some overviews of kind of potential partners as a city, as a government can work with, from the end equipment vendors, where you can purchase smart devices, where you can collect the sense and collect the different data, where connectivity device provided near field connectivity, where communication service provided will consolidate and collect all the data and sending the possible the cloud service providers either can provide you private cloud services or public cloud services to enable this data analytical requirements, then it will fit into your central operation centers for the different government entities or private entities to help monitoring, make decisions, and to initiate different activities to support the cities to function. So that's a kind of overview how you can build a smart city with all things connected, sensed, and having the intelligence to help you to make the decision. Now, the latter things is how could so 5G network obviously is the layers where you can provide the connectivities to support the data being collected, transmitted into the upper layers application. In this respect, so why 5G is different from the rest, like for example, your Wi-Fi, your fixed line connectivity or your 4G connectivity. So why is it so different? We're looking at some different user cases in terms of how the drone being used, how the AR live streaming being fed into, how the VR live stadium video being fed into the individuals, how on the road that autonomous bus, autonomous cars, and fleet management have been used. And then looking at in the communities, how the home broadband being supported, how the VR entertainment being provided, and to the industrial layers or digital oil, how the digital oil fields are being configured, and how the smart grid being managed, how the robotic being used in the different scenario, and how you can use as a remote control to manage the crane, to manage the autonomous ground vehicle to help you to do the different things. All of these, what we're saying is there's different user cases, they have different network requirements. So some of them maybe need a very ultra low latency, things like remote control or robotic services. The other things may need large bandwidth. For example, if you want to upload the VR live streaming into the cloud, then be distributed to the end users, you need a very big bandwidth and a very low latency. And also the drone surveillance, of course, to manage that, you need a broad coverage in the country and ultra low latency to manage the controlling of the drone. So different devices, different user cases, they will have different requirements. Where 5G can provide all of this requirement on the unified platform. So what is 5G can provide in terms of to support the different smart city user case? To start with, we talk about the privacy and security, as the colleague mentioned earlier. 5G can provide with different configuration. You can provide the kind of privacy to ensure the data will stay on the premises if it's required, or stay within the country's data center on the cloud platform without going through the public network, where it can potentially pose a risk to be sniffed out or to be abused. In addition to that, the 5G network is inherently secure. They have the end-to-end encryptions from the device's perspective, to the air interface perspective, to your core network perspective, and goes up to your cloud network, the cloud service provider perspective. So you have end-to-end that encryption and security to make it more secure to provide the kind of smart city service you require. In addition to that, with the 5G technology, it's much harder to operate, and you can provide the services on demand. And in addition to that, you can provide different smart service requirements in terms of even it's a kind of auto downlink or super uplink, auto low latency, that can all be provided from 5G network. Addition to that, of course, 5G this network design is more like a cloud native and data center type of services. You will have the kind of reliability framework implemented in the 5G network to ensure the backup, data isolation, and and to provide the industry grade devices to ensure the end-to-end reliability in the 5G network. In short, 5G network is a kind of unified platform and provide all the many smart city user cases, and together with some of the user cases required for the industry digital transformation. Now, because of time limited, I'm just going to pick some of the smart cities user cases to show how 5G can provide this kind of smart, how 5G is the best choice to provide this kind of smart city user cases. This is an example we're talking about smart street lights. So this smart street light is not just unable to ensure the manager platform to look at when the lights should be when the lights should be switched off. You also have the multiple use where you can use this to provide the Wi-Fi connectivity network and use it for the video surveillance services, and also to provide the environmental monitoring capability to ensure that the light is switched off when there's no need for the use of that to generate the energy saving, as it was become very important in the whole building up a sustainability city. Now, with different user cases supported by these smart street lights, it demands different requirements. From the street light itself, perhaps everybody will know, it's covered across the whole city, which means that the network connectivity needs to be very broad, where every single smart street light can be connected. But when you're talking about individual user cases, the video surveillance, of course, you need that large uplink bandwidth to support a 4K high definition video to be sent back to the control center, where the emergency calls needed to have the priority when it's required by the user to make the call. And in addition to that, the constant reading of the energy consumption of the light had to be accurately secured, sent back to the utility center to be monitored and controlled. So therefore, 5G can provide the different network requirements for the different user cases. The next we're talking about is classic AI to enable the in-city security, where you can either provide the premises security protections, you have video-based patrol, you have sky eyes for key areas, and you have personal trajectory analysis and key personnel surveillance. So all of this requires a high definition, broad, high definition CCTV image to be sent back to the cloud center, overlay with AI analytics, and help the operating centers, the city's security operating centers to make a decision. Therefore, you need large coverage, large bandwidth, and also secured access to the application. So again, here 5G will play better role than any kind of the Wi-Fi connectivity. And the other things we're talking about, as lots of my colleagues spoke about the future of the transport. If we're looking at the transport, this is a standard issued by the transport safety standard. We're looking at the first level is level 1, kind of drive assistant kind of assumptions. And there's a level 2 is partial automations, where you can have the automated functions to help you reverse cars, help you changing line. The level 3 is conditional automation. Then you go to the level 4 with the high automation, and the level 5 is a full automation. With different levels of this, there are more and more the system operations required, which means for the vehicles being able to send the information, the image, and the data back to the control centers, back to the cloud, having the application, it becomes very important. And which means there's more system operation required, the lower the network connectivity, the latency is required. In addition to that, because thinking about when your car drives from A to B, you need to make sure you have the network coverage to provide you the constant connectivity for the backend system to help you to make the decision. Therefore, 5G becomes the ideal kind of choice of a technology to support the digital transformation. Of course, you're talking about this, there's to certain levels, this kind of autonomous driving services can already been deployed in some scenario, particularly in the small campus. You can use the campus, the autonomous drive, the shuttle bus services. In the theme park areas, you can have tourist sports cars driving around, autonomous cars driving around to help the tourists go around. And also in the airport, when you have the shuttle bus to drive the passengers from airplane back to terminal, so this also can consider with the autonomous car driving. In the port areas, which can use autonomous ground vehicles to move the things around. So all of these user cases is already happened. This primarily is driven by the cost saving, but just thinking about the driving, giving the example here, if you have 60 shuttle buses, have 60 drivers, what's the potential the TCO could be like in 3 years? So we have done some business case looking at this. And with all the autonomous driving classes, the most important aspect required on the network is the throughput. Whereas in the more advanced stage where the vehicle to everything plus the civilian plus the time of the day driving requirements, the uplink requirements are much higher than the first stage. And also the latency requirement is more stringent. So therefore, 5G would be considered the better choice of network connectivity to provide a set of service. And the last thing we're talking about is the drone service. Everyone is talking using the drone in the smart service, in the smart city in terms of doing the aerial survey, doing the police traffic monitoring, doing any kind of the pest control, doing smart grid, the grid lines inspection, and doing certain level of the terminal logistic. Amazon has talking about the drone delivery. So all of these required the 5G network, which is the 3GPP standard already defines the connectivity performance required for managing the drone. So in this is the first release in 2018, and in 2019 release of 16, it provides more detail. At the moment, with the 3GPP standard for drone, it can support up to 300 meters and support the uplink about 5 megabits per second and can manage the latency less than 50 milliseconds. So as the standard development further, and this become more efficient, so more become much more high performance standard for the 5G network used for the drone services. Now, talking about the drone deliveries, so this is actually already happened in China. So in China, the State Post Bureau already issued a specification for express delivery service by unmanned aircraft vehicle. So this is enabled many of the service delivery companies, like the food delivery company, the e-commerce company was similar to the Amazon. So in China, it's called Taobao, and the people like DHL and many other the food delivery companies already started in the drone to do the home delivery. And this is also driven by the recent pandemic that we're getting closer to the people, getting closer to the community, whereas in the lockdown scenario become more difficult, and drone service delivery become vital to manage it to maintain people's day-to-day activities. Now, not the least, so where we are about, I promise this is the only sales slides I'm going to say. So Huawei, as you know, we are the communications ICT infrastructure providers. So we provided the whole infrastructure layers from the last mile connectivity devices to the 5G network equipment to the fixed line connectivities And we also provide to have a broad infrastructure, the IT infrastructures, including the data center, the servers, the storage. In addition to that, we have developed the cloud capabilities to support the smart city initiatives and service requirements. We are involved working with lots of our partners. We're already involved in construction of 120 plus cities across 40 plus countries. And this is including, actually, we are working in Kuwait. We are working in Kuwait. Back in 2018, we signed the memorandums of understanding to help the Kuwait government to build the smart city. So we continue our endeavor to help Kuwait develop the smart city concept and their solutions. Okay, that's been all my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. A lot of information for 25 minutes.
I know. It's
it's amazing to have too many information, and now you are nearly 120 cities, all in 40 countries. That's amazing, including Kuwait in 2018. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your presentation and your speak today. This is our end session with Ms. May Lee. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you all for, thanks to all the speakers and their time. And inshallah, tomorrow we have the second day. I would like to thank Her Excellency. I will talk in Arabic, maybe May, it's okay? Because
it's okay.
نشكر معالي الوزيرة الدكتورة رنا عبدالله الفارس على حضورها وافتتاحها لمؤتمر المدن الذكية اللي يقيمها الجمعية الكويتية لتقنية المعلومات. وشكرا
their auspices. Wish to remind you that by tomorrow we're getting some guest speakers locally from Kuwait, who is the secretary at the place at the Kuwaiti Information Technologies Society, who will be managing the meetings by tomorrow. We will be having so many people. We will have Dr. Al-Khalidi, Afnan Al-Khalidi, Dr. Al-Husseini, Ammar Al-Husseini, Mr. Attawa, Muhammad Attawa, Mr. Ashkanani, Muhammad Ashkanani. We'll have Mr. Akbar Ahsan Akbar. Thank you all, and very good wishes to you. And there is a link that you could fill in your names in English, where you could be accredited with certification till the end of the session tomorrow. Thank you so much for being with us today. Have a good time and good evening for all.
بس واحد من اسمه